There he is.
Oh, great. Great.
Okay, Emily, it's going.
All right, are we ready to get started?
Oh.
Yes.
Everybody good? All right. Let's call the meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
United States of
of the
America,
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and we'll go to roll call.
Slade?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
Cody?
Yep.
Doug?
Yes.
Kyle?
All right, first item on the agenda, any additions to the agenda?
We do have a couple additions to the agenda. I highlighted those in the packets that were shared with each board member. We have on letter H, for the consent agenda, we have the contract of Stephen Flynn for the Cheddar Colony teacher. So that's we're happy to find somebody to fill that position. I do want to point out, this isn't an addition, but for G on the consent agenda, the contract for April and Heidi are going to be, Heidi Schrag will be, and April will be co-prom and co-yearbook advisors. So we are adding the prom portion of that advisor position for the reason of that we've had each year the class advisors rotate up with the class. And when we get to the junior year, you get a new group of people that are coming in as prom advisors that haven't been prom advisors for years. So it's really created some difficulties when we're running things like fundraisers and things like that, and just the amount of organization that goes into prom. So what we're proposing is adding that additional prom advisor position, and that April and Heidi would be co-prom and co-yearbook advisors. And then the other items for the new business, number one, so we are looking at the JLG, we will not be presenting the drawings from JLG for the multi-use facility. That is something that was discussed and highlighted as a wrestling room in the past. We're calling that a multi-use facility now, because we are looking at that being a 12-month facility, not just during that wrestling months. But we have had multiple meetings. We're in a really good place as far as developing the designs for that. But we just don't feel that we're quite ready to make those designs public. So what we're looking at is next Monday or Tuesday, we're going to schedule another meeting to meet with JLG to continue to polish up those designs, and then we're hopeful for the September meeting that we'll be prepared to present those drawings in September. And then for two, this kind of stems into that with JLG not being here, and then also some conversations that I had with JLG today. That they are recommending that we go through a civil engineer for if we decide to move forward with anything with the softball baseball complex. So I've edited agenda item number 2 to simply be discussion about the softball baseball complex. And that discussion can be fairly open-ended, and I can share more information that was shared with me from JLG. And that should be all the edits that we have to the agenda.
Okay, we'll require a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Kyle.
Was that Kyle?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, my audio is really spotty. Sometimes I can't hear you guys at all. Motion by Kyle, second by
I'll second that, Cody.
Cody. All right. We have a motion by Kyle and a second by Cody. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any conflict of interest disclosures?
No.
No.
No? All right. Next item on the agenda is public input.
Nobody reached out.
Any public input?
No.
No, nobody reached out.
Okay. Sorry, thanks Debbie. I can hear Debbie a lot better than.
I'll
I'm sitting right
speak-
beside you.
Closer to the.
I'll talk louder over here.
I appreciate you. Next item on the agenda, consent agenda, will require a motion to approve the following. Minutes of the regularly scheduled school board meeting of July 12th, 2021, the contract of Rebecca Hofer, high school special education teacher for the 2021-2022 school year, the contract of Haley Constant, paraprofessional for the 2021-2022 school year, the contract of Katie Schrog as a co-prom and co-yearbook advisor for the 2021-2022 school year, the contract of Jeff Woolman, assistant wrestling for the 2021-2022 school year, the contract of Allison Gearing, junior high volleyball for the 2021-2022 school year, the contract of April Golson, co-prom and co-yearbook advisor for the 2021-2022 school year, the contract of Avery Sage, assistant football for the 2021-2022 school year. Oh, I missed the contract of Stephen Flynn, Cheddar County teacher for the 2021-2022 school year, and claims for August. Is there any discussion?
I move to accept Slade.
I'll second that, Cody.
What was that? Sorry.
Motion by
Motion by
Slade,
Slade,
second by Cody.
second by Cody. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have administrative reports.
I handed out my report. We have staff in service starting tomorrow, and then Tuesday, and then Monday of next week. We have different items planned. The first day of school is Wednesday, August 18th. We got a 1 o'clock dismissal that day, and we do run buses, and we do have school lunch that day. I will have the hard numbers for the elementary school. Right now, my kindergarten's looking like 27. We actually ran out of desks because we keep getting more kids totally out of desks. And we went to order them and they said we might get desks by April. So Viber Curley School was having a rummage sale, so we went over there and they gave us 28 desks. We are okay for desks right now, but I'm telling you, the kids just keep coming. I've never ran out of we were totally out of desks.
That's good. That's great.
So the elementary schedules are completed, and now the teachers will go in and make their schedules and save it on our shared drive. Elementary open house is the 16th, and that's 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, and it just gives them an opportunity to bring all their stuff in, get it in their desks. They don't have to drag it on the school bus on the first day of school. Right now, we are planning for the elementary fun run on August 27th. That's our first home game. The other football game is our homecoming. Cheddar County had a late resignation, and the county positions are usually hard to fill anyway. I was fortunate last Thursday or Wednesday, Jake got an email from a guy that had been teaching. He was subbing down in Yankton. He taught school down in Arizona for 21 years, lives in Scotland. And he'll have to, the state will give him a 1-year certificate. And then he has a year to take, in South Dakota you have to have Native American studies to have your certificate. The state will give you a year to get that. But on his Arizona certificate, he already has EL endorsement, he has bilingual endorsement, and there's a Spanish endorsement. So we were pretty fortunate to have that guy fall into our lap. He signed today, so.
Great.
And I did ask him if he'd ever been to Hutterite Colony, and he said he had, so. He actually subbed for Minnow on the county and enjoyed it, so. Hearing screening for K1 and 3 and the county kids is August 27th. And then Katie has school pictures scheduled for September 2nd. And I didn't have, there's a retake day, I think, on the 21st. I'll get the enrollment numbers after school. So September I'll have each grade broke down from last year's enrollment to this year's enrollment so you can see it.
No, I'm assuming you say we got 28 desks from the other school district. We didn't need 28, that was overkill.
Just a little overkill, not terrible. I don't know how many they have left, but I bet you they used half of them. Greg got 10 for the high school, and Larry took every elementary desk that was usable that they had.
Now, if they're backward till April, is that something we need to order now
I think
for
so.
next year?
And the thing is, Byron Curley, I guess, is waiting for their new desks, and then he told us they're gonna have more desks if we need them, if we can't get ours.
Jake, is that something we can put on next month's agenda? Sure. Thanks.
Well, we already have it in the ESSER III budget.
Two more desks?
Yeah.
Then describe.
Budgeted, not on order yet. but
Okay.
Budget,
we can
yeah.
report on that.
We have to
Perfect.
approve that.
Yeah, let us know how that goes and how backed up they are.
That's all I have.
All right, moving along, superintendent report, or dean of students, I guess is first, then superintendent.
We'll go principal first, if that's okay.
Okay, so open house, we have that scheduled, ready to go. So elementary will be regular, like it has been in the past, from 6 to 7 on the 16th. And then the junior high school is going to split those between 2 days, so we can do the tech checkout during those 2 days. So 7th and 8th grade will come 6 to 7 on the 16th. 6th graders will come at 7, so we can give them a little tour and give them their technology. And then the freshmen through seniors are in 15-minute increments on Tuesday, just so they can get those, that tech ahead of time. That'll be new for them, but we're excited that they can get that ahead and we don't have to worry about that on the first day. I met with student council to go over just a couple of things that will be coming up for them, and so once we get some of those things down, I'll report those back to you, some of the things that they've decided. Maybe I'll even have them come in and report for you. But we've talked about just, they've talked about a dance, and they talked about just some things that have been happening in the school that they maybe have an idea on. So we talked about that. We talked about cell phone pouches, those types of things. Nothing concrete, but we've had the conversation and they've given me some ideas, so that was good to have those two in. Classes, doing lots of that, lots of looking at classes. So we did offer last year a photography class, which has now no longer there. But we found one through the South Dakota Virtual School, so we are going to offer those kids that photography class through the South Dakota Virtual School, so that'll be an online class for them. So I called all of those students who were registered just to confirm that now that it's moved to online, do you still want to be a part of that class? The majority said yes. A couple said they're going to switch to chorus, so that's good. So we'll offer that for them, and then we're excited for in-service tomorrow. So that's all I have.
Great. Superintendent report?
I think if any board members are wanting to volunteer to chaperone the dance, I think we're probably taking, it's open, so.
Does it
don't all
end by 9 o'clock?
Don't all jump at that, but I was, the look on your faces was priceless when she mentioned that. We're gonna start with a bang with the superintendent report. We're gonna talk about medical marijuana concern, or not concern, but what the state has brought in for new policy that we need to prepare for. So with medical marijuana, we do have to plan for this. This will be something coming forward in the next month or two that we'll be putting together policy that will help, that will align with what the state has for put together for us. So basically, to update the board on what that is going to look like, because I'm sure a lot of people, their minds are flying. What does this actually look like if we are in a situation? First of all, I don't think this is something that's going to greatly impact our district, but we do need to be prepared if it is something that does in the future. So we would have a student that if a doctor, if they meet with their doctor and their medical professional says, yes, medical marijuana is something that could be an option for you. They don't necessarily have to prescribe it, but if they share that this is something that I would support you using medical marijuana, that doctor would give that student a card. With that card, then you'd have to have the physician's signature to show that that is a card that is something that would be presentable to the school district. And then also, that individual has to line out somebody that would administer the medical marijuana. So we can't have students that would be administering it on their own. So with that card, they would have two signatures, the physician's, the medical provider, and then also the administrator of the medical marijuana. And then they would bring that in, they would present that to the school. The school, from our side of things, we need to provide a designated area We could provide an individual that would be an individual that could administer it. We could store it as a facility. When I was at the superintendent's conference a couple weeks ago, state superintendent's conference, it was pretty united front on that. The school districts were not gonna have in their policy that we were gonna store, or we were gonna have a professional that would be administering that. My recommendation for the board would be that we follow with that, what other schools across the state are doing. But we do have to provide a designated area for that use. I will point out that use is, it cannot be a vaped version, it cannot be a smoked version of medical marijuana. So the person that comes in to administer it would, student would come down to the office in the designated area, would administer. After the student has been administered the appropriate doses that have been prescribed from the medical provider, the individual that is administering would then take whatever's left and leave the building with it. So it cannot be stored in the building. The person has to bring it in, the provider has to bring it in, administer, and bring anything that's left over with them. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't feel that this is going to be a heavy impact on Freeman. What it impacts Freeman on is we need to make sure we're prepared, and we need to make sure our policy reflects and makes an environment that if we do have a student that does need that we have it set up for them. We have until November for this, before these policies are fully adopted, so we have some time. So over the course of the next couple months, I'll be putting together those policies and presenting them to the board. And the state is gonna have some model policies put together for us. Alternative instruction, so we are working, this is another thing at the legislative level, so we're waiting on some clarification for alternative instruction. Alternative instruction is most commonly in the past referred to as homeschooling. So they have added a piece to the language for alternative instruction that said that a student can open enroll to a new district and then declare alternative instruction once they're in their new district. What some districts are concerned about is that would create an environment where kids would be open enrolling to any certain school, would potentially be not necessarily for academic reasons, but for maybe some reasons such as activities, and then that would create an unfair advantage for some other schools. So they're reviewing that language, and we'll be curious to see if they adjust any of that language, or if that's something that will be a policy issue that we need to look at implementing in-house, something that would help to protect us. And we can implement, right now for our open enrollment, I believe it states that students have to attend 2 class periods. So that could be something that would help protect us, but that's what's going to protect us from other students going to other districts. So be curious to see what the state comes up with, what the Department of Education comes up with guidance for schools on that issue. Trees, we're waiting for a quote from Edwards Tree Service. I asked them to give us a quote just to go around the perimeter and to any tree that is completely dead or in the process of dying, something that would be dead in the near future. I asked them to give us a quote for the removal of that and the stump removal of that. So right now they are a little bit laid up and are not able to work at full capacity, so they said it might be into September before we get that quote, but as soon as we get that quote, I'll bring that forward. Fence project, that's one we've been talking about for the last month or so here. So far we have the posts installed for the actual gate, the gate posts. Next step would be our custodial crew will stretch the fence and attach the fence, and then it'll stay open, probably be open once school starts. I hope so we get that done before the students showed up, but just with time restraints and just the busyness of the school year and product, a couple delays there with getting all the product that we needed. Probably won't be done by the time school gets here, but we should have the fence stretched. The gate was just placed on order this morning, so they manufacture the gate at the size of the dimensions of the opening, so we know it'll fit. So they said that should be done. It should be manufactured at the latest within the next 2 weeks. So as soon as that gate is manufactured, we'll go pick it up and get that installed to complete that fence project. As was mentioned by both of our principals, the in-service starts tomorrow, so we have Tuesday we'll have just all staff gathering, and then we'll break off into different site meetings. Tomorrow, I'm very happy to present that part of our ESSER III budget will include purchasing the ICU database, ICU program. And we have a presenter, it's a nationally renowned speaker. So Danny Hill is the inventor of the ICU and wrote many books about the ICU. The Power of the ICU is one that we'll be purchasing for our staff members to read. With the ICU database in a nutshell, it's a program that's if a student has been assigned an assignment or an assessment, and gets to be Friday, and that assessment is not turned in, a teacher could say, you need to have this turned in by Monday, or I'm gonna put you on the list. Comes around Monday, and the student still has had all weekend, still doesn't have that assessment completed or that assignment completed. What the teacher can do is go into this database, highlight the student, highlight the assignment. They can even attach the assignment into the database, and then an email is sent to the parents with the attachment of the assignment. A text message goes to the parents and gives them a notification that this assignment is not complete. So it's a checks and balances, it's an accountability factor for our students to make sure that they are staying on top of their assessments. A big message that Danny Hill presents also is that we're putting meaningful assessments in the grade book, and that we're assigning meaningful assessments. So it'd be a full day professional development, but I think this can be a great program. We can then take that data, if a student's on the database when we have our Flyer Fridays, and that's an easy way for us to filter. We just look at the list, however many kids are on the list, those would be kids that we need to come in and work on additional work. There can be other kids on top of that that would be assigned to Flyer Fridays, but that could be a nice way for us to filter through who is eligible to come in on the Flyer Fridays as well. So a good remediation piece as well. And then next Monday for the final staff day is a planning day. Most of that day is designated for staff to have time in their classrooms to prepare for the first day of school on the 18th. And it's gonna be exciting to see the kids back in the building. That's all I have for the superintendent report.
Great, thanks, Jake. Okay, next item on the agenda is old business. Do we have any old business? No? Okay. Moving along, new business. First item on the agenda is discussion about the softball baseball complex.
So it was presented to me that from JLG today that they feel that they are not, as architects, not the right people to be assigned for that. If we did choose to move forward with developing of designs, I guess to take a step back from that, I think at a board level, we should talk about, is that something we want to move forward with? Is this the right time? Is that something that we want to do and start or continue moving that project forward? So I would leave it open to discussion for, do we want to move forward with that project? If we do, who would we want to, any ideas for who we would reach out to potentially give us drawings for that project?
Green light, Doug. I think we want to move forward. Obviously, I think there's a couple of firms we should reach out to first, just because they're involved in Freeman already. SPN is JLG's consultant for the wrestling room, so they will be here anyway in some capacity to do a topo for that. And also probably Sayer Associates. Paul Korn's a Freeman native, and they're doing the Main Street project for the city. So there needs to be some shared costs and interests there as well. So I would say that we should reach out to those two firms first. And I would propose asking them for a flat fee and a narrative of services, because I don't think we're ready to probably call it a full design at this time, but I would like to see some preliminary designs, what would fit the piece of ground we have, how it would function, and then really be able to get that out to the public, so Booster Club has something to fundraise towards, get the city's opinion since they pledged money to the project, and give the public a chance to have some input based on that.
I was gonna say that first, but.
If that's the case, I agree with Doug and Kyle. Let's green light it all.
Should be Kyle first.
I'll see.
I can put it together. I wouldn't call it an RFP, anything formal, but maybe just a baseline narrative of what we're looking for, and then I'll shoot that to you that review. Sounds great.
Sounds good to me. All right. Next item on the agenda is to review bus fuel quotes for the 2021-2022 school year.
So this year, we actually got 2 bids, again from Stearns and then one from, Total Stop Settings.
We got diesel now.
What's that?
They do.
Yeah, and, Total Stop said 3 cents a discount, 3 cents per gallon discount. And Stearns varies with the month, but it's usually way more than 3 cents a gallon.
Okay, Debbie, it was a little bit hard for me to hear you.
So we got 2 bids, one was for.
I heard total stop something.
Yeah, Total Stop said 3 cents a gallon, and then Stearns, they give us a bid at the beginning of every month, and it's usually way more than 3 cents.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
In the past, Deb, what has the discount from Stern been? You said Total Stop's offering 3 cents, Stearns is usually higher than that. What kind of ballpark are we dealing with?
Well, it varies because they bid at the beginning of every month. So, whatever the price is at,
Historically speaking, what can you give us?
I don't have it broke down by per gallon, but, it's anywhere from $100 to $500 a month we get back.
Total Stops is based on just current market
Yeah,
at the time.
whatever it is, 3 cents off of that,
Any issues with Stern in the past with?
just receipts. Otherwise, no.
Do you need this to be an action item?
That we need to require a motion to accept the bus fuel
Mhm.
quotes from whoever you decide. The last 2 years, we haven't had a
Does
bid.
Does anybody want to switch over? I guess strictly from a budgetary standpoint, we're gonna save more money sticking with Stern, correct, Deb? More than likely. So I would say that we stick with Stern if that's gonna be the most frugal route. As long as we haven't had any concerns or problems with their services.
So what Stern does is, they charge us full price out there, and then at the end of the month, we have all our fuel tickets, and Kelly Rhodas figures it out, cause we have a quote. So every gallon, we put in the new price, and she does the same, and then we compare, and then
Okay.
it's usually,
I guess I would vote to stick with Stern then. I'll make that motion.
Great, okay, well,
Cody made the
Who's
first
making the motion
motion.
first?
I'll second it, Emily.
Cody, motion by Cody, second by Slade, to accept the bus fuel quotes from Stern for the 2021-2022 school year. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Will require a motion to join the emergency school bus mutual assistance pact for the 2021-2022 school year.
so this is just, if you're in the pact and your bus breaks down, then someone else, that close district would supply one.
Did we use this last year with, when, honors choir kids bus broke down or not,
No.
or nobody was in that there, or what?
Well, the honors choir wasn't the same as some.
No, I know, but we didn't take a bus one.
Yeah, they
Never make lines.
got it fixed right out there.
I'll make a motion to be involved in that.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Kyle, second by Doug. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And the motion carries. Will require a motion to approve various items in surplus.
This is included in your manila folder, the packet, within your packet, the surplus items that are listed, most of that are tech items. But the first item on that, is a bus number 7, has approximately 205,000 miles and needs a master cylinder for the brakes. So needs work, is reaching the, and once you get to that 200,000, for the most part, it's been a good bus for us. Value, we're looking at that we could, if we did get a new bus, we could look into a trade-in option. I did call today and trade-in, basically they would give us the cost of, what the iron that's in it. So $1,500 is about all that they would give us for a trade-in. So anywhere from, if we did, just bring it in to a chop shop, it'd be $1,200 to $1,500 and about what we would get for a trade-in. So basically what we got, that's what we had
Christian's
decided.
quarter $95 a ton.
Isn't the
Is
bus
that-
isn't the bus we surplus last year still sitting in the
Yeah,
back parking lot?
I'm waiting for more stuff to go in it.
Okay.
I already called him, he's gonna come get it.
Alright.
We're gonna have some more stuff put in a little bit more weight.
Are there any issues with getting new buses as there are with other vehicles right now?
Yes, if we ordered a new bus right now, it would be at the start of next school year, would probably be the projected time that we would receive it. There are some used ones that are out there, and got a couple quotes from a couple different companies that, there's some decent ones. What we're looking at right now is our bus drivers most of our bus drivers are Class C bus drivers, so that would give them the ability to drive a 53 passenger bus or less. We do have one bus driver, and I believe a sub-bus driver that has the Class B certification, so that would give them the opportunity to drive, the bigger buses, up to those 71 passenger buses. So, thinking what's best for the district would be, and from my perspective, we do have a fleet of buses that is operational right now. There are a number of other ones that are getting really high on miles. We do have, I believe, for route buses, we have one, I believe, that's a spare bus, so we do have a backup plan if one does go down. But I think we're in a position right now where we can start shopping around and trying to find a nice deal on a bus. They do go very quick. Mr. Ross can attest to this. It's very hard to find used buses right now. I have built into the ESSER budget, the ESSER III budget that we'll talk about a little bit here, the cost for a brand new bus within that plan. So that's something that we could consider. We probably are looking at that we're going to need within the next few years more than one bus. So we could look at, in addition to the ESSER $3, look at a used option as well. So I would leave that up for discussion for.
With looking for a bus, are we looking for, at least keeping an eye out for handicap accessible
Yes.
option to that?
Yep, and there has been a few used ones that have come up that do have that option. I believe that they were, the 57 passenger, is that what it would be? 59 passenger? Yeah, so, that one was, apparently one of my bus experts that I've been on for support, shared that was a year that, or a type of motor that we probably don't wanna be investing in.
Okay.
We'll continue to keep an eye out for that. If we do go a new option, that would be something to consider as well.
I guess I would say, let's make a motion to approve the surplus items. And as far as the bus goes, with the used market the way it is, I think it'd be more prudent to go with a new, but I guess we're gonna cross that bridge here shortly, so maybe we'll just save that. Emily, motion by
All right,
Slade.
someone wants to make a motion? Motion by Slade. Second by
Cody.
Cody. We've got a motion by Slade, a second by Cody. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And the motion carries. Next item on the agenda, review and discuss the Freeman School District safe return to in-person instruction and continuity plan and allow for public feedback.
Yes, this is also included in your packet. It's one that has the flyer on the front of it. Has also been posted on the district website with a link, on the agenda with a link, so the public had an opportunity to view that for the last few days. So I guess what were the goals for tonight would be to discuss our plan. Since it has been posted, I'm not gonna highlight, every single bit of the plan. It is 7 pages long, so there's plenty of information. It is significantly shorter than our previous plan, more condensed, I guess I would say. I did review a number of other plans from other districts across the state of South Dakota. There's 5 schools that I reviewed their plans, took pieces from their plans, and put this into the Freeman public plan. So basically what we're looking at with this plan, you got the table of contents, page 2 there. We have the general information, just information that was provided for us from the federal government. Second piece, or next piece there would be correct wearing of masks, which was one of the requirements that we had for putting this plan together. Considerations to stakeholder safety and well-being, daily practices and building practices. Basically this gets into the building hygiene, making sure we have a cleanly environment, and making sure we're providing a safe space for our students coming into the building. Facility maintenance as well, how we can keep up with that. Transportation, we will, with transportation, we will not be requiring, we'll be encouraging but not requiring bus drivers or students to be wearing masks on the bus, but we do encourage that they maintain social distancing when they're on the bus. COVID-19 cases and close contacts, we will not be close contact, or contact tracing, excuse me, but we will support medical professionals when they reach out to us and say that there's an individual that was a close contact. We will support them and we will help to enforce that here in the school district. We are relying a lot on our parents to make sure that they are keeping their kids home if they are sick. That's an important piece to this plan, is if a student is sick, keep them home. And they're relying on parents that if they are sick and they feel that it's necessary to do so, that they take them in to get tested. If the medical professionals then report to us that they have COVID, and there are any need for contact tracing, then we will follow through with what the medical professionals advise us to do. Screening and testing, we will not be providing any tests here on site this year. That's something that was provided fairly regularly last year, but we view this in this plan, we're taking the approach that we are not the medical professionals, that we very much encourage individuals to get tested if they have symptoms of COVID-19 or the variant, but we are not going to provide those tests here. We encourage them to go to the hospital and receive that test. We encourage vaccines for the next portion, accommodations for children with disabilities. Any of that information would funnel through the 504 plan or the student's IEP team. Coordination with health officials, continuity of services, and the last piece would be the review of the district, the opening this for public comment, and the date that it was approved. Any questions on these?
So, on this line, bus drivers shall be properly equipped with personal protective equipment if they wish to use it. Do we have PPE on hand if they do wish to use it?
We will continue to have PPE on hand and on buses, in school. We very much encourage students, if they feel that that's a safer option for them, that they do wear masks in school. That's something we want to encourage that use, but if it's something that they feel that they are safe without it, we're not requiring that they have that use of a mask on the bus or in school, or with the bus drivers. If they feel that it is something that's best for them and they would like to wear it, they certainly can.
I guess, when I think of PPE, I don't think of a cloth mask. I'm thinking like an N95 mask, something that would actually be useful. Do we have that kind of PPE on hand if they were to require it?
No.
I don't believe so.
Is it possible to get some of that way if, I know our bus drivers are,
They won't wear them.
none of them want them? Okay, well then that's a moot point.
Do we feel that would be something that we would want to provide at the front door for?
I mean, that's what I mean. If any of the staff wants actual PPE, I think we should have some on hand.
Okay.
Obviously personal choice. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't wear it. I'm just saying if they choose to, we should provide that to them as employees.
I know there's quite a cost difference between the N95s and other masks.
You get what you pay for.
Right, yeah, I know they're very good.
Right.
My question would be, do we want to order a large supply of those for any outsiders that are coming in for any events?
I would
for
say
students?
no, let's see, I just would stick with
Start with
staff,
staff first.
and let's see how much we would use with our staff.
Okay.
Wanna use it, and if it's not any, great, if it's more than that, we'll be accommodating to that as well. But, as Deb stated, the bus drivers aren't interested, that's fine too.
Maybe one.
The only other comment that I've gotten, has been just a question around if a student is vaccinated, if that, changes the guidance, from this document. And I know that, I think regardless of vaccination, I think we're relying on Department of Health to kind of guide us and influence, quarantine, time periods and things like that, but wanted to see if I was the only one that has been hearing that from, like, just one other person, but, that was just something that someone from the community brought forward to me, but just wanted to share that with the group.
That could be a very long and fruitless conversation, Emily, so I think we'll just cross that bridge when we come to it.
Sounds good. All right, any other discussion before we move on to a motion?
One comment, I've read several other districts' plans, because they're posted on their website, can we have Seth post it on
No?
the?
Okay.
Hold on, Emily,
Will require a motion to approve.
Hold on a second.
Sorry, what?
can we have Seth post it to the main page, so it's easily accessible, I know it's embedded in the meeting minutes, but so if anybody pops on, we've got the sports schedule, all that on the main page. Most of the other districts did, and I found it similar to what most districts
I
of
think
our
it
size
has.
are doing.
I think it has.
Okay.
Yep, it does by the 20th, and if it's
Just
states
to make
up
sure
there,
it's
and
there.
yeah, at the end of the plan, it will be posted on the district website by the 20th, the official plan, once it's adopted. I think we're ready now, Emily.
All right. Will require a motion to approve the Freeman School District safe return to in-person instruction and continuity plan. Do I have a motion?
So move, Slade.
Motion by Slade, second by
Doug?
Doug.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion by Slade and a second by Doug. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is to review and discuss the preliminary Freeman School District ESSER III budget plan.
Yeah, so this is also included in your packet. This would be at the front page there, you can see the total amount that we are allocated for the ARP ESSER III funds with the $705,814. You can also see on that front page that the amount set aside for lost instructional time would be that 20% that'll be highlighted in this plan. That's $141,163. This is, we have 3 years to spend these funds. So right now, this is year one. This is the 2021-2022 budget. And you can see at the bottom of that first page that with this budget, we're at a total of $355,124.50. So it has the location, this is the plan that we need to upload onto the district website, so it has our state website, so it has where the location of our plan will be posted right along our safe return to in-person instruction plan, all on that front page. So on the second page then, we're getting into what we'll be spending these dollars on. So we're at the seating that was mentioned earlier. You can see the dollar figure, that's $68,000. They'll be allocated to new seating opportunities for students, and not just seating opportunities, but we explored non-traditional seating opportunities. So a desk that can have a chair separate, so a kid can slide further away, not stationary position, where they can move to where they'd be a little bit more comfortable. Could be some high top desks where in the back of the room a student could stand. And with this seating, it's referred to it preferred seating. So we're trying to give students an opportunity to sit within a classroom where they feel most comfortable. And maybe it is that the proximity that they feel that they want to be further away from other students, that they have that ability in a certain area of the class where they could do that. If they just, feel like they learn better by sitting towards the front of the room in a traditional seat, we could have a traditional seat that's available, traditional desk that's available for students as well. But preferred seating is something that's growing in popularity across the region, and something that we wanted to allocate those funds to help keep kids safe, and then also provide a healthier learning environment for them as well. Custodial equipment, you can see 2 vacuums, burnisher, and that was a total of $2,797. Some of these that you see included below it, it's included in multiple areas of the plan as far as the titles of where we needed to allocate the funds to. So additional FTEs are covered below. So with section 1 of the plan, it's a total of $70,797. Basically for all other sections except for section number 2, which would be the 20% portion of the plan, which is the 141 that we have to spend, every other section would come out of the remaining balance outside of the 20%. So with the in the section of the 20%, we have $11,662.50 that would be the quote that we received from NWEA MAP. When we're talking learning loss, there's nothing more valuable to us than having a CBM, which is a curriculum-based measurement, which is a test that we have that we can administer in-house 3 times a year. So there's a benchmarking period in the fall, the winter, and then at the end of the school year as well. That gives us indicators of where our students are at. So when we're talking making up for learning loss, we need to know where they're at. And we need to find out where our students are at with their learning. We need to meet them where they're at, and then we need to bring them forward with multiple supports. So that's one of the first, the NWEA MAP program, something that we'll be implementing for this next year at the 6 through 12 level. And then we'll be looking at staging that in for a K through 12 program. And it's already very comparable to what the elementary has been using for years. It's just an electronic version versus a written version that we'll be bringing in. Second piece would be the $16,000 would be a summer school program that we'd be looking at developing over the course of this school year. This obviously that would be something that is implemented for that extended learning period for next summer, since we're at the end of this summer. So we have a significant amount of time to design this, but basically what we were looking at is 100 hours. So you got 88 instructional hours, and then teachers would have 20 preparation hours. So if you look at 4 hours per week that they would have for instructional time, and an 8 to noon type of a program, 4 weeks out of the summer, that they would have 1 additional hour that they would have for the prep time. Threw this out there in the budget, and this is preliminary budget, so this is something that could be tweaked along the way as we go here. It's hard to predict 9 months from now, so there could be something that as we plan the summer program that there are things that change, but right now looking at teacher compensation at an hourly wage, and the total cost for that there. So those are things that could be scaled as we continue to plan in greater details, and that's how we meet with teachers and come to an agreement for what that cost would be. But for that summer extended learning plan would be $16,000. Equipment we're already covered. Additional FTE, this is a big chunk of that. So the $132,965 would be what would be going into additional staffing to help us recover from the learning loss. Other priorities that are not highlighted, so the ICU program that I mentioned in my superintendent update, it's at $7,500 for a package that includes bringing the national speaker in for a full day to speak with our staff and provide that training, books for our staff so we can do a book study based off of the power of the ICU, so we can learn on that ongoing professional development. It also has an online resource for staff to be able to reach out to and utilize that online resource throughout the course of the year. And so that it's a nice package of bundling a lot of information into that $7,500. included in that. And then so for the 20%, we needed the 141. We're at a total of $168,127.50. So we surpassed that 141 already, and this is just year one of that, making up for the 20% learning loss. What that tells me is that that's a heavy focus of this plan. The heavy focus of our plan is to make sure that we are providing what our students need to recover from the interrupted education that they've had over the course of the last year. 3 then would be investments aligned with students' needs. Mental health was a huge component that they were encouraging districts to provide some additional support for students. So we're looking at some curriculum that can be used for students that are having difficulty with mental health, academics, and behaviors, something that would primarily be implemented at the counselor level. That would be $5,000 that are allocated to that, but it also could be a curriculum that could be used in our special ed environment as well, if we have a student that's struggling academically or behaviors as well. So that, I believe, is that section. Moving on to 4. We have $1,200 that we are allocating for the positive behavioral intervention supports. We had a staff, including our high school principal and a teacher team that went to a PBIS training in Sioux Falls and a 2-day training. So we refreshed on positive behavioral interventions and supports, and that $1,200 will be used to help to create just make our environment an even more positive environment. $10,000 allocated for recruitment of teacher recruitment and through an online program. Right now, it's through district website. Fill out the electronically the application. There's a system called AppleTrack that is proven to draw more applicants. Just when you think of a student that's coming out of college right now, very tech savvy. They would be drawn to something that's a simple application process versus something that's maybe a little bit more exhausting to complete that application. With AppleTrack, it allows people to go into the system, and when they see Freeman has a teacher position that's open, they can click on that, and when they apply, they can upload all information that previously they have used in other applications, can automatically be uploaded, so it saves steps, makes it a significantly easier process for them. So that would be a big part for the recruitment of teachers, which we are having some struggles with. And then for the total of that section will be $111,200. And then I think that is pretty much the rest of it. Just highlights, how are we gonna address the concerns with students that miss most in person, did not participate in remote instruction, our risk of dropping out, what is our plan for those students, and then how we engage the community with the development of this plan, and teachers and principals and other individuals around the district. So that, I believe, is all of the ESSER III plan.
So I'm
Any
gonna
questions?
say that the two, the halftime elementary intervention teacher and the administrative position will have to be pushed into the second year because their first year is in ESSER II.
Yes. Thank you.
Is the ICU program something you used at your previous district? Is that how you know about it?
I have used it in a previous district, not in my previous district, but at one point in my career in education, we had the ICU program, and that was very successful.
And the ESSER III budget, is that something we can slip the new bus into?
Yeah, it's in there. Yeah, it's in there. I must have that excellent skipped over that one, but.
Like number 7, I believe. Right here, district funds, purchasing bus.
Perfect, yep.
$100,000.
All the questions I have.
And so we need a motion for that? Right?
Yes, we do. I was just gonna ask if there was any other discussion.
I'll make that motion.
Will require a motion to to approve the preliminary ESSER III budget plan. Motion by
Kyle.
Kyle?
Kyle?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, Kyle. Second by
Cody.
Cody. Thanks, guys. We have a motion by Kyle and a second by Cody. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have an update from the Facilities and Grounds Committee.
A couple of things, to get into the bathrooms out at the track, the concrete has sunk away. It's been brought up to our attention that people in scooters or wheelchairs have a hard time to bump up over the top of that. So to take care of that for the year, since it's almost time to start using it, we're going to put a piece of rip some 2x4s, put them down, and put a piece of metal so it's flat then. Also with that, the raised concrete that is around there is not access for people to get up there. That would be in a wheelchair or scooter of that matter. So the talk is on the north end of that, where the cement ends before the tree, is to make a ADA ramp. So they are capable of wheeling up there. And then they can actually, we talked about them sitting inside the fence, correct?
Yes.
There's a gate right there that, because with ADA, I think there's a visual deal that they have to, that we have to apply by. They can sit on the inside of that little boxed out area.
Kind of where we put the pickers stand, is that what
Correct,
you're saying?
exactly, yeah. So they can come in that gate and sit there, so then the fence is not impeding their view
Sure,
as they sit there type deal. And we can just paint those
right.
spots out. Plus, then people could still stand behind them, so you're not,
Yeah. Can I say something about that concrete as well?
Sure.
That you're talking about?
Yeah.
Like, right where it's raised there, and it's a little bit of a hazard where that's, I mean, we've had people that have
I've seen it,
fallen
yeah.
off of, you've seen it,
Yeah.
I've seen it. It's a little bit dangerous.
it is, and that's something that, it's not going to happen this year, because
Right.
but we do need to take a look at,
I think we do.
figure something else out to get rid of it, or
Yeah.
whatever we have to do to make
Right.
that work.
And then, you know, we've painted it, we probably need to repaint it
Yes.
for the fall here, just with some bright paint to try to call the attention, but, I mean, right, it turns into, they don't see it, they're not from here,
Correct.
and unfortunately, you know, it's gonna be an elderly person or someone, and,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, it's a concern.
One other thing on buildings and grounds, I'm gonna get a hold of Kerner to see if he is able to get that pipe done yet over by Growing Greens yet this year. If not, we might have to look into finding somebody else to take care of that, so that is done, so it's not a leak over there inside their fenced-in playground area. Other than that, I don't have anything unless, Doug, you got something that.
Just a question, do you know off the top of your head what the capacity for the stadium is?
No,
Okay,
I don't,
we
off the
just
top
need
of
to
my
do
head.
some code calculations to see how many spaces we're required to provide for handicap seating, so
Sure.
I can,
Yeah, I do not know the specs on my offhand.
I would say just go with your number that we kind of figured earlier, Doug. I think we're probably over that.
Like,
The number is higher than what is actual capacity.
full air on the side of Kosh.
Yeah,
Right, you just, by measuring the space, is that? Yeah.
correct, yeah, the seating space of it.
There isn't really a good spot to put the people in that handicap area though, but like, will they be able to see even, like, if the game is all the way on the other end, like, they wouldn't see, if the game, I mean, can we do something in maybe behind the end zone?
Yeah.
At least give an option for that?
I don't know why not.
So like, I mean, on the track, maybe on the track, like have on the track, but so that they're not in danger necessarily if something comes through the end zone, but
I know
at least so
what
they
you're saying
can,
on it.
so that at least you can see the whole field, even though it's not probably the preferred view of most people, but, cause behind that, I would imagine all you'd see is a whole lot of butts.
Yeah, yeah,
Some of the things we considered when we were out there taking a walk before the meeting was proximity to the parking lot. So there's a nice area, sidewalk area where they can come from the parking lot, right by the ticket area, and they're gonna have to, if they went to the end zone, they'd probably have to go to the track, so they'd have to go to the left. We built that ramp to get out to that area, and there's a gate right there. So they go around the gate area, it's a nice little area, nice wide concrete area, so, it would give them the opportunity to, I think, sit comfortably, but then also a big part of this is that they can still be with their loved ones, so they could have a conversation with somebody right behind them, at the fence, and their loved ones certainly can come in and sit with them, or, help them be more comfortable if that was, something that was needed, but that was why that area was specifically targeted earlier. We could certainly, identify a different area. Another nice thing about that area is we can paint on the concrete there, whatever we need to designate that as an area, for them. We can't paint the track, so if they did go out on the track, that'd be, further distance, that could be a nice option too, but we figured just with proximity to that parking lot, that might be the best targeted area.
We have cement coming, not that that would be great for out-of-towners, but don't we have cement going to the gated area where the players go through?
On the outside portion?
Yeah, isn't it, that's not cement
On the
there?
outside,
Why was I
around the
thinking that
visitors?
was?
Are you talking about coming in from the west side?
Yeah.
Across where the players
Yeah,
go
yeah.
across?
That's not, I don't know why I was thinking that's, okay, never mind. I was gonna say, cause the handicap area would technically be closer, I mean, they could just, if that was.
Make it parking.
Yeah. Anyway, that sounds good.
All right, thank you. Next agenda item is an update from the facilities task force. I was able to reach out to some individuals for interest in participating to this facilities task force. We do have a full 10 people that are interested on the task force, and we are scheduled to meet on August 11th for our first meeting. So happy to bring back some more information after that initial meeting. But we do have everybody identified and a meeting on the docket, so. And that's all that I have from the facilities task force. Next item on the agenda, a motion to nominate someone as the West River at-large representative to be filled by an athletic or activity director.
Christie's recommendation was for Kelly Mesmer, right?
Yes, from Hardin County.
That was her recommendation.
All right. So do we have a motion to move forward with Christie's recommendation?
Christie, I'm gonna take your recommendation.
Okay.
What were the other names on the list?
It should be back behind your
Yeah.
packet. There's a
Behind my packet?
packet I gave you. There's
You know, I
listed.
think that we voted for Kelly initially, and it was a close ballot between the two, and so that's why we had to vote again.
Okay.
And the reason for your recommendation?
But, both good individuals and do really, I guess, I've been involved with Kelly a little more, and, because he's from a smaller school, is why I would choose him also.
All right, I'll nominate Kelly Mesmer as the West River at-large representative to be filled by the athletic director.
Second.
Motion by Slade, second by Cody.
Kyle? Sure.
Hi.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, Kyle, apologies.
Aye.
Motion by Slade, second by Kyle. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do we have any other business? No? All right, we will then move into executive session. We'll require a motion to enter executive session for the purpose of South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, parentheses 1. Do I have a motion?
Kyle.
Kyle?
Second,
motion by Kyle,
Slade.
second by,
Slade. Slade.
second. Okay.
Did you get it? You get it? No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
See
In executive session at 8:05 p.m.
Technology is so awesome.
It's the worst. It's so terrible. I'm gonna move to an Amish.
Can you make sure that